My sister stood up in the middle of a crowded restaurant, pointed at my 8-year-old autistic daughter, and screamed that she'd never be normal. Every head in the room turned to stare. My daughter started crying. And in that moment, I knew exactly what I had to do. Absolutely nothing. Because sometimes, the best revenge is just stepping back and letting someone destroy themselves. If you've ever had to protect your child from toxic family members, this story is for you. Hit that like button, subscribe for more justice stories, and buckle up because what happened next changed everything. My name is Janet, and my 8-year-old daughter Anna is autistic. She has something called ARFID, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder. It's not picky eating. It's a medical condition where her brain physically rejects most foods. The texture, the smell, sometimes even the sight of certain foods triggers a panic response in her nervous system. We've worked with doctors, therapists, and nutritionists for years. Anna has about 12 safe foods she can eat without her body going into fight or flight mode. A turkey sandwich on white bread with the crusts cut off is one of them. Apple slices cut into perfect quarters is another. It sounds simple when I explain it like that, but living it, that's different. Every family gathering is a negotiation. Every restaurant visit requires planning. Every birthday party means packing Anna's food and hoping nobody makes it into a thing. My sister Helen has never understood this. Or maybe she understood and just didn't care. It's hard to tell sometimes. Helen's son Brian was turning 10, and she'd planned this big birthday dinner at Outback Steakhouse. 20 people. The whole family. She'd been talking about it for weeks, posting about it on Facebook, making it clear this was going to be the perfect celebration. 3 days before the party, I called her. Hey, just confirming. I'm bringing Anna safe foods, right? You know she can't eat restaurant food. Helen sighed, that specific sigh that told me she was already annoyed. Yeah, whatever. Just don't make it obvious, okay? I don't want the whole restaurant staring. We'll be discreet, I promised. The day of the party, I packed Anna's turkey sandwich and apple slices in a small cooler. She was excited. She loves her cousin Brian, and she picked out a present for him all by herself. A Lego set she knew he'd been wanting. We got to the restaurant right on time. The big table was already filling up with family. My mother Julie was there, my father Arthur, Helen's husband Jordan, various aunts and uncles and cousins. Everyone was laughing, talking, and ordering drinks. I quietly asked our server for an extra plate. She smiled and brought one without comment. In the restroom, I transferred Anna's sandwich and apple slices from the container to the plate. It looked just like any other meal. Nobody would even notice. Anna sat next to me, using her fork to eat her apple slices, being perfectly polite and quiet. I ordered a mocktail and split an appetizer sampler with my cousin. Everything was fine. Anna was happy. Brian was opening presents and grinning. It was actually going well. Until Helen noticed. I saw the exact moment it happened. She'd been laughing with her friend Lauren, gesturing with her third glass of wine, when her eyes landed on Anna's plate. Her face changed. The smile dropped. Her eyes narrowed. She stood up. My stomach dropped. I knew that look. Are you serious right now, Janet? Her voice cut across the entire section of the restaurant. Conversations at nearby tables stopped. Heads turned. You brought a packed lunch to my son's birthday dinner? The table went completely silent. My mother's face went pale. My father stared at his menu. Brian, the birthday boy, looked like he wanted to disappear under the table. I kept my voice calm and quiet. Helen, we discussed this. Anna has medical food restrictions. I don't care. Helen's voice got louder. A couple at the next table was openly staring now. This is so embarrassing. You always have to make everything about your kid and her special needs. She actually did air quotes with her fingers. Air quotes around the words, special needs, while pointing at my 8-year-old daughter. Anna's hands started flapping, her stress response. Her eyes were getting wide. I put my arm around her shoulders. Helen, please lower your voice. You're upsetting Anna. Maybe if you actually parented her instead of catering to every little thing, she'd be normal. That word hung in the air like poison. Normal. A woman at the next table audibly gasped. A man 2 tables over shook his head in disgust. I felt everyone's eyes on us, but they weren't looking at Anna with pity or judgment. They were looking at Helen with horror. The manager appeared at our table like he'd materialized from thin air. He was a middle-aged man with kind eyes and a concerned expression. "Ma'am, is there a problem here?" Helen whirled on him, her face flushed with wine and anger. "Yes. She brought outside food. That's against the rules. You need to do something about this." The manager looked at Anna, who was now rocking slightly in her seat, her hands still flapping. Then he looked at me. "Is your daughter all right?" I met his eyes and saw genuine concern there. "She has autism and ARFID. It's a feeding disorder. She physically cannot eat most foods without having a severe reaction. I'm happy to show you medical documentation if you need it. Under the ADA, we're legally allowed to bring her safe foods." The manager's expression softened immediately. "That's absolutely fine, ma'am. We accommodate disabilities here." He turned to Helen, and his voice became firm. "Ma'am, you need to lower your voice. You're disturbing other guests." Helen's face went from red to purple. "This is my son's birthday party. She's the one ruining it. Ma'am, if you cannot calm down, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." The table had become a tableau of frozen horror. My mother had tears in her eyes. My father was staring at his water glass like it held the secrets of the universe. Jordan, Helen's husband, had his head in his hands. Brian looked like he was about to cry. I leaned down close to Anna. "Do you want to go home, sweetie?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I stood up calmly, took Anna's hand, and looked at Brian. "Happy birthday, Brian. I'm sorry your party got interrupted." I caught my mother's eye. "Mom, I'll call you tomorrow." Then I walked out, and a small hand in mine. The manager actually walked with us to the door. "I'm so sorry about that," he said quietly. "Your daughter is welcome here anytime. And for what it's worth, you handled that with incredible grace." I thanked him, held it together until we got to the car, and then I cried. Not because I was upset, but because my daughter had just been publicly humiliated by her own aunt for the crime of having a disability. Anna was quiet the whole drive home. When we got inside, she went straight to her room. I found her an hour later, lying on her bed, staring at the ceiling. "Mama, what does normal mean?" My heart broke into 1,000 pieces. That night, after Anna finally fell asleep, my phone exploded. 23 text messages from Helen over the course of 3 hours. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You could have just ordered her chicken tenders like a normal person. You always make family events about Anna. Mom is so upset you left." Brian cried because his favorite cousin left. Each message was more accusatory than the last. And then came the Venmo request. $50. With a note, "Your portion of Brian's birthday dinner." I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I did the math. I'd had one mocktail, $6. I'd eaten about half of an appetizer sampler, $7. With tax and a reasonable tip on my actual consumption, it came to $18. I sent exactly $18 via Venmo with the note. My actual consumption. Anna's food was packed from home per ADA accommodation. Hope Brian had a wonderful birthday. My phone rang 2 minutes later. Helen, screaming. "Are you kidding me right now? I paid for what I ate," I said calmly. "You OWE me for ruining the entire party. Do you know how humiliated I was?" "You humiliated yourself, Helen. I was sitting quietly with my daughter. You're the one who screamed at a disabled child in a public restaurant. Don't you dare play the disability card with me." I hung up. The next morning, my mother called. "Janet, honey, I think maybe you both overreacted a little." "Mom." I cut her off. I brought safe food for my daughter who has a medical condition. Helen screamed at her in public and called her not normal. Which part did I overreact to? There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Well, Helen was very stressed about making the party perfect. You know how she gets. And there it was. The same family dynamic that had existed my entire life. Helen's behavior was always everyone else's responsibility to manage. Being stressed doesn't excuse verbally abusing an 8-year-old child, Mom. I'm not saying she was right, but maybe you could have been more discreet. I was discreet. She chose to make a scene. I'm not apologizing for protecting my daughter. Helen is saying she won't come to family events if you're there. Then that's her choice. I'm not keeping Anna away from family members who actually love her. My mother sighed. This is just so difficult for everyone. Over the next week, the family divided into camps. My father called to tell me he was proud of how I'd handled things. My Aunt Hannah sent me a long, supportive text. 2 of my cousins reached out with messages of support, but my Uncle Bruce, Helen's godfather, sent a lengthy message about being the bigger person and keeping the peace for the sake of the family. I didn't respond. 3 days after the restaurant incident, I got a message from someone I barely knew. A woman named Judith from my mother's church. Hi, Janet. I was at Outback on Saturday with my family. We were sitting 2 tables over. I just wanted to reach out and tell you that what your sister said was cruel and completely unacceptable. I have a nephew with autism, and I know how hard you work to include Anna in normal activities. You handle that situation with so much grace and dignity. I'm really sorry that happened to you both. I thanked her, touched by her kindness, and thought that was the end of it. But word spreads in small communities. Judith apparently mentioned the incident to people at church when the topic of disability inclusion came up during a discussion group. She didn't gossip. She just stated what she'd witnessed when talking about why accommodation matters. My mother's church has over 300 members. Word traveled fast. Then someone else who'd been at the restaurant, a woman named Lauren from Helen's book club, brought it up the following week when Helen tried to complain about me during their meeting. Wait, Lauren had said. You're the woman who yelled at your sister's autistic daughter at Outback? I was there with my husband. That was really uncalled for. According to my mother, Helen left the book club meeting early and didn't come back the next week. But here's where Helen made her critical, irreversible mistake. Feeling defensive and victimized, she posted on Facebook, PSA, just because your child has a diagnosis doesn't mean the rest of the world has to bend over backward to accommodate them. Some of us are trying to have normal family events without everything being made about special needs. Tired of walking on eggshells. Faced with rolling eyes. She didn't name me. She didn't have to. Within hours, 3 people who'd been at the restaurant recognized what she was referring to. One of them commented, "This is about what happened at Outback last weekend, isn't it?" Helen deleted the comment, but screenshots had already been taken. My cousin Alan, who has a son with Down syndrome, commented publicly, "Wow, Helen. Just wow. Really glad to know how you actually feel about kids with disabilities." Helen tried to backtrack. I didn't mean all special needs kids. Just people who are unreasonable about accommodations. My Aunt Hannah commented, "You screamed at your 8-year-old niece in a restaurant for eating a sandwich. What exactly was unreasonable about that?" Helen deleted the entire post. But by then, over 40 people had seen it along with all the comments. Her best friend, also named Hannah, called her. I know this because my mother told me later. Hannah was appalled and told Helen she needed to apologize to me and to Anna. Helen refused. "I'm not apologizing for having boundaries." Hannah stopped returning her calls. The consequences weren't dramatic or immediate. They were slow, steady, inevitable. Helen had been organizing events for her local playgroup for 3 years. After 2 members privately expressed discomfort about her views on special needs children, she was quietly asked to step down from the organizing committee. Her friend group had an annual girls' trip planned. When Helen asked for details, she was told they were keeping it smaller this year. It wasn't smaller. She just wasn't invited. Brian's school has several children with IEPs and accommodations. Helen had always been vocal at PTA meetings about not lowering standards for special needs students. After multiple parents filed complaints about her restaurant behavior, she was removed from the event planning committee. Jordan, her husband, had a difficult conversation with her. People at my work are asking if my wife is really the woman who screamed at her autistic niece in public. This is affecting my professional reputation. 3 months after the restaurant incident, Thanksgiving arrived. My mother hosts Thanksgiving every year. It's a huge event, 20-plus people, the whole extended family. A week before the holiday, Helen called my mother with an ultimatum. Either Janet doesn't come, or we don't come. My mother, who'd been getting pressure from multiple family members about Helen's behavior, said something she'd never said before in her life. "Then I guess you're not coming this year, Helen." Helen was shocked. "You're choosing her over me? Over your grandson?" "I'm not choosing anyone. But I'm not excluding Janet and Anna because you can't control yourself. If you want to apologize to them and come, you're welcome. Otherwise, we'll miss you this year." Helen didn't come to Thanksgiving. Neither did Uncle Bruce and his wife, the only family members who'd fully defended Helen. The rest of us, 18 people, had Thanksgiving without them. It was peaceful. Anna had her safe foods on a special plate. Nobody commented. Nobody made a scene. She played with her cousins and laughed and had a wonderful day. Brian came, though. Jordan brought him separately, telling my mother, "My son shouldn't be punished for his mother's behavior." 4 months after the restaurant, Helen sent me a text. "Can we talk? This has gone on long enough." I waited a full day before responding. "I'm willing to talk when you're ready to apologize to Anna directly, not to me, to her, for what you said at the restaurant. I'm not apologizing to an 8-year-old. She won't even remember it. Then we have nothing to talk about. You're really going to destroy our relationship over this? You destroyed it when you screamed at my disabled daughter in public. I'm just maintaining boundaries." She didn't respond. Here's what I learned. I didn't need to do anything. Helen publicly humiliated herself through her own choices. Multiple witnesses spread the truth, not gossip, just facts about what they'd seen. Her own Facebook post destroyed her reputation further. She lost friendships, social standing, and family relationships. I never badmouthed her, never posted about her, never campaigned against her. I just protected my daughter and let Helen's actions speak for themselves. It's been 8 months now. Helen and I don't speak. She's slowly being included in some family events again, but there's a distance now. People are polite but careful around her. Last week, Anna asked me, "Mama, why doesn't Aunt Helen like me?" I knelt down to her level. Some people don't understand that everyone's brain works differently. Aunt Helen said some unkind things because she doesn't understand yet. But that's okay. We have lots of people who love you exactly as you are. Like Grandma Julie? Yes, exactly like Grandma. And Cousin Brian? Yes, and Cousin Brian. She nodded, satisfied. In her concrete, literal way of thinking, that was enough. My mother told me that Helen asked about Anna's upcoming birthday party. "Is Janet going to make a big deal about food again?" My mother responded, "Anna will have her safe foods like she always does. If that's a problem for you, you don't have to come. Helen is coming to the party. We'll see how it goes. But here's what I know now. I don't need Helen to apologize. I don't need her to understand. I don't need her approval. I just need her to be civil to my daughter. And if she can't do that, she's not welcome in our space. That's not revenge. That's just being a good mother. But watching Helen lose friendships, social standing, and family closeness because she couldn't control her cruelty for 5 minutes? That's justice. And sometimes, justice is the sweetest revenge of all. The best revenge isn't always fighting back. Sometimes it's just protecting what matters most and letting toxic people destroy themselves. Helen made a choice that night at the restaurant. She chose cruelty over compassion, and the consequences of that choice will follow her for years to come. Not because I made them happen, but because she did. All right, let me give you my honest take on this story. Janet did everything right. She communicated in advance, was discreet at the restaurant, and Anna was quiet and polite. Helen agreed to everything beforehand, then created a public scene calling an 8-year-old not normal. That's not stress, that's cruelty. Here's what's brilliant. Janet didn't fight back. She just protected her daughter and stepped back. And that's when Helen destroyed herself. The Facebook post, refusing to apologize to a child, doubling down on her behavior, Helen showed everyone exactly who she was, and people responded accordingly. What Helen lost wasn't because Janet took it from her. It was because witnesses saw her true character and wanted nothing to do with it. This isn't about revenge. It's about boundaries. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to accept abuse and let someone's own actions speak for themselves. Helen wanted Janet to apologize and feel guilty. Janet refused. And that quiet, dignified refusal was more devastating than any revenge plot could ever be. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about justice, boundaries, and protecting the people we love. Drop a comment and tell me, was I justified in letting karma handle this, or should I have done more? And if you've ever had to protect your child from toxic family members, know that you're not alone. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is simply refuse to engage. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.